Hi, friend. Today we're talking about Scrawl. Simon and Joe make a comic book, and things inside start to become real. Written and directed by Peter Hearn, starring Liam Hughes, Mark Forrester Evans, Joe Daly, Annabelle Gresley, and Daisy Ridley. I think this film's trying to be smarter than it is. Like, it wants to be a David Lynch movie, but it doesn't quite know how to get there. The story isn't linear, and it's kind of a detriment. Other films have done non-linear storytelling and done it way better than this. This film stumbles, and sometimes it feels random. The majority of the time, people are doing things for some reason, and it doesn't really show why. It is a student film. The director, Pete Hearn, worked with students at Andover College, and it definitely feels like a student film. Hearn stated on the commentary track that he wanted to have a story in the same universe as his short, Motto, which was filmed 3 years before this one. Motto's an 11-minute short about a group of scouts in the woods being chased by a hammer-wielding killer. It's interesting enough, and it's pretty good, and it has no dialogue. The premise is interesting, with the comic book depicting what will happen, and the artwork they used is really great. You don't see a whole lot of it, but what is seen had me interested. You can tell that Hearn and the cast and crew tried to make a good movie, but it's kind of muddled. Hearn spoke about how the cast and crew worked really hard to complete the film, which is respectable. And it looks pretty good. The cinematography is pretty good for an indie film. For the most part, the acting isn't horrible, with a few exceptions here and there. The characters are just bland. I never really found myself caring about any of them. I sat and watched these people do things that I don't even know if it was advancing the story, and I struggled to stay invested. Liam Hughes plays Simon, and Joe Daly plays Joe. They're supposed to be friends, I think, but I don't know how or why they are. 1 minute, they're buddy-buddy, but the next, Simon's telling his mom how lame Joe is. And then the next scene, they're friends again. Liam Hughes is pretty good in this. I just don't really know what his character's doing for the first half of the film. Joe Daly's in sort of the same boat. I get that he's interested in some random character named Beth, who is kind of worthless to the overall story, but I don't know why he is. Towards the end, he becomes sort of a buffoon character. With the exception of Simon and his mom, Joe and his dad, I don't really know the relation between most of the characters. It's touched on so quickly and forgotten that it's hard to know without a rewatch. And slight spoiler, at one point a character dies, and when Simon and Joe try to tell someone, they end up giving up, and one decides to go to a local diner and the other walks along the beach. I don't get it. Daisy Ridley's pretty good in this. She's definitely the standout. Not just because she's the most well-known. Hearn admits that he wrote the character for her, and it seems like her character is really the only one that's well written. Her character is mysterious and somewhat interesting, but not really until about an hour in, because she doesn't really show up until 20 minutes in the movie. And by that point, it's almost over. Her performance isn't flawless, but it's much better than most of the rest of the cast. The makeup effects are fun. It does look cheap in places, but it looks better than a lot of other low-budget movies I've seen. One of the other highlights is the score. Composer Dan Hall produced a nice subtle score that enhances each scene, and most of the emotional cues come from the score. Overall, I didn't feel like I wasted my time, but I don't think it was necessarily time well spent. I think I enjoyed it, but I just don't know. After watching it twice, and then once again with the director's commentary, I'm still on the fence. The last 20 minutes becomes almost parody, trying to make it more akin to Evil Dead. They took a chance with the story, but I'm not sure it came out clear with the way it was edited. I think there's a good story buried in there between the weird edits and random looking scenes. It sort of comes together in the end, but it's not a satisfactory ending. This is usually the type of movie that's right up my alley. While it does show that the cast and crew all working together can complete a film, but it really all comes down to a good idea followed by a coherent script. I felt like they were writing it while they were filming. No character, other than Ridley's, is consistent. It seems as though, from watching cast interviews and behind the scenes, everyone in the cast and crew were given an idea of what the story was, or maybe the script was vastly different than what the final product became, and then it was held from the audience. It hints at a story in the film, but it doesn't allow it to be front and center. But I do have to commend them for getting it done. In the end, it's a good learning tool to show what to do and what not to do when making an independent film. Have you seen this, and did you like it? If so, let me know in the comments. If you'd like to see more of our reviews, check out this video. Thanks.